Welcome to the Health Revolution. I'm Alison Burton, and my goal is to empower, enlighten, and elevate our approach to health. Since the early 1900s, mainstream medicine has primarily focused on drugs and surgery as the solutions to our health challenges. It's forgotten that our health is a result of our environment, our emotions, our lifestyle, our relationships with others, and with nature. It's also forgotten that we're vibrational, spiritual beings. I believe it's time to remember to acknowledge and to work with this invisible quantum aspect of our existence. So the health revolution is waking us up to natural, common sense approaches to health, including ancient wisdom and the magic of quantum science. It's opening our minds and exponentially expanding our options for health, healing, well-being, and happiness. Our guest today is Pascale Seiler. She's the founder and director of Intuitive World, and she's a renowned intuitive transformational light coach, a fast-track and serenity vibrational healer, trainer, author, and a radio host. Pascale possesses a unique gift to tap into people's lives through creating a direct channel with their higher wisdom that allows for miracles and transformation to occur. She literally blows the lid off what's possible in her clients' lives, and they're forever altered and deeply transformed in her sessions. Pascale has worked with clients from all over the world, and she was born and grew up in Hong Kong. So she blends the passion of the West with the loving wisdom of the East, which allows her to embrace her complete wholeness. And she believes that what sets her apart is embracing all parts of who she is, allowing others to do the same. Pascale has a laser-like ability to channel messages with the perfect dose of love, light, and ruthless compassion. So today I want to welcome Pascale Seiler.
So, Pascale, I would really like to welcome you today, and it's great that we can have you on board and talk to you. So I've got lots of questions for you. So I will introduce you. Pascale Seiler is a light worker. I first met Pascale in 2019, wasn't it? March. We discovered our birthdays were on the same day. And
that's right.
Pascale did some work for us at my clinic in Melbourne, and some work for me personally, and I just find your work profound, absolutely profound, and hard to describe too. So, I call you a light worker, but how would you describe yourself?
I think it's a constantly evolving space, because as we continuously evolve, our spaces of who we define us evolve. I've been playing recently with the whole idea of, heartpreneur. I like that one. I'm a
Yes.
And a wisdompreneur, because, that very much anchors in with me. What I do is working with intuitive light. So intuitive light fast worker, because the work is fast. I go deep, but I also go quickly.
Yes.
Right. I'm not here to dilly dally. That's not the way that I work. But inside of that, it encapsulates the space of what you're going to experience with me. I think that's kind of what's really important at the moment, and at the forefront.
Yeah. So before we go into that, how you work and what you do, can you tell us, we'll just go back to your beginnings. So how did you become involved in this kind of work? So what's kind of, in a nutshell, your story? And I'm just going to turn off my heater so I don't cook here.
Yes. Okay, no problem. Look, I think there's always layers to our story. I'm really present to that at the moment. So, I think I've always been connected to this from a very young age. Let's first say that, okay? So I think I've always felt these realms and these energies from the beginning of time, from the beginning of being here. And I think I've been very lucky and very supported in the sense that in my family environment, you know, sort of harnessing the unseen and harnessing the magical and creating your dreams has always been something that has been supported, even if they
so
didn't
supported,
know what that, yeah,
yeah,
even if
supported
they
by
didn't
your
know what that,
parents.
yeah,
Yeah.
by the family environment. And I think that is important. I know that for some light workers that hasn't been made available to them, and I do work with people in help clearing that, because also until you kind of clear and align and give yourself full permission to be a light worker and for that to be okay, that creates and manifests a variety of struggles.
Of course. Yeah.
Because you're then trying to seek permission outside of yourself for that which you're striving to be. And so it's kind of an additional level of getting where you need to get to that you need to clear out. So I help people with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, because it is so common that, you know, young children can be very connected, very intuitive and see the unseen. And if they're told that's nonsense, they will shut that down very quickly. Yeah.
Yes,
I know my youngest daughter, she might not like me saying this, but my youngest daughter could see auras so clearly when she was very young. You know, she would be in assembly in primary school. She was a preppy, so, you know, 5 or 6 years old, and she would love watching the colours mingle of all of the other children's auras in assembly.
Yes.
And of course I was very open to that. I thought that was fabulous. But, you know, she had enough people commenting on, you know, that's nonsense, that she shut it down for a while.
Yeah, so I think the thing is I'm all about embracing and again, pivotally again at this time, about supporting people that they do matter with their sensitivity, that their sensitivity is a source of their greatness, not a source of something that's anything wrong with them, or, you know, they're strange, they're weird, they don't fit in. You know, I bring all of those people into the space and lovingly hold them and support them to really lift and step into their potential, right? So I provide a platform of belonging that previously was not available to them before, right? And then as a result, they really, you know, they really come out and flower, right? And so that's really important to me. So that and I think that comes from the love and light. You know, people need to experience that love and light, and sometimes that's not provided in the womb of their in the womb of their family.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to belong is much more important than self-actualization. So you will what's the word? You kind of adapt yourself so that you belong, even if it means, shutting down those gifts.
Yeah, right. So, you know, finding a place where you belong.
Absolutely. Then you can rise up the hierarchy.
Yeah, that's right. Then you can self-actualize, and it's supporting people. It's supporting people to do both. That I feel very strongly inside of. So I mean, so I can say that was kind of my journey, like, you know, way younger. And then, you know, it just took on a different course and different evolution as I kind of grew up. You know, we go through what I call the cycles of our spiritual maturity that needs to happen as we hold our container in our work. And so, you know, as I've got older, you know, different things have needed to happen, or different skills have evolved inside of my space. So, you know, I think I spoke about it a little bit on one of the other interviews that we did, which was, you know, there were, you know, times when I had to really learn to heal my health, not at the level of my health, which I think relates back to your kind of health revolution.
Yes.
Because I feel very strongly about this, because I had an autoimmune disorder.
I was going to ask if you're happy to talk about that.
Yeah, I am. And all of these things that, you know, a lot of people, you know, deal with. And and then I had, then it then manifested into a Epstein-Barr virus, because actually when you look at these things, there's different aspects of it that manifest. But actually the way in which I healed it, because I don't have any of those things, which to common person and lay person, even to my aunt who's had a thyroid condition, and I'm explaining various things about my healing to her, can't conceive that you could go actually from not having a thyroid condition, that people have it as it's going to stay for life, and that you have to manage for life.
Yeah, we believe the mainstream paradigm.
Yeah, that's a belief, right? And so, I've completely eroded that, because I spiritually healed it and cleared it at the genetic line and the familial line.
Are you talking about your aunt?
No.
Or your own health? Yes.
I'm talking about me.
Yes.
And so, and then believing that was possible to do, and all those areas and areas of concern where I was lit up like a Christmas tree before, healed. And I don't have anything indicative of that. I don't even have anything to show that was my past history anymore.
Yeah. So can you, for people who aren't familiar with Epstein-Barr, and I know it can present in lots of different ways, what were your worst symptoms? So at your lowest point health-wise, what was happening for you?
I think the thing that was incredible for me was, I didn't know that I was having Epstein-Barr, because it's something not really talked about very much, to be very honest. And second of all, when I did get present to it, apparently I had been told that I had level 3 symptoms of it, which were pretty extreme and pretty intense. So I mean, the fatigue I felt, the brain fog I felt, I had this feeling of like broken brain. They call it the broken brain, because there's so much going on with your gut and your brain that I literally felt like my brain wasn't working properly. I really didn't. And I just felt like hell. I really did. I really felt like hell.
So it would have been quite debilitating to you and interfered with your life.
Yeah, definitely.
So what sorts of things couldn't you do at that point?
Well, I just don't think I was, I don't think I was able to function, quote unquote, daily, in the way that we know that we should and would be able to normally. Definitely not, because of the fact that there was just so many different aspects of the symptoms that they're showing up all at the same time, that didn't enable that. So the focus of it needed to be on, healing it. Yeah. But the way in which I went about the healing was, completely different. That's the point.
Yeah. Were you in pain? Were you in physical pain?
Yeah, I did. I did have some, I did have some physical pain. Yeah, I did. And in parts of my body. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you look for mainstream solutions?
So I think, look, I know I'm different in my way of approaching things. I'm not pro-chemical things anyway. For me. I will look to a medical opinion, but I will look for somebody who is more functionally trained. Yeah. Okay. More holistic.
Which means much more holistic,
Yes, a lot
integrated within Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Okay. And but again, nothing's perfect, because you have to go on your journey with it, because it's all to do with who you attract, and then therefore how do you stand in your own truth around your health. Again, I was rigorous, I've had conversations with other women I know, and it's completely different, because they just don't want to go in and ask some of the questions I've asked, because they didn't really want to get to the root of it like I did, and they admit that.
And so what sort of questions did you ask, and who did you ask?
Well, look, the story was really funny when I shared this recently, and I really got present to it because, you know, there was a doctor before I found my functional doctor that, you know, she was an absolute nightmare, and she wanted me to go on these, you know, she wanted me to go on a form of thyroid medicine at the time that I felt completely wrong for me. And I intuitively felt it wasn't the right thing, and was wanting her to kind of really listen to what my body was feeling and what I really wanted, which direction I really wanted to go into. And she, you know, she wasn't having any of it. She didn't like it because she had this whole conversation of, I'm the doctor, and I'm the one who has the expertise, and
I've done the study.
Tell you,
I know the protocols.
I'm tell you how it is. And here I am vulnerable and in this space, and everything in my body told me, even though I was feeling really low and vulnerable, that this isn't right for me, and I'm not gonna tolerate this. And I said to her, look, if this is if this is how you're gonna be, and this is how you're gonna approach it, I said, I'm gonna look for a different doctor because this doesn't work for me. And I think she was in shock because, again, people don't have it in their space that they can or should do that, which I think is quite unbelievable to me. You know, like, why wouldn't you have the option to choose who's going to serve your health? And I mean that in any way, mental or physical.
Yeah, I guess because we're coming from the paradigm where the doctor was always right. Don't question the doctor. And it's that era of authority that we believe and trust and obey someone who's supposedly older and wiser, like parents, teachers. We've come from that.
So, but it's very disempowering. It's really disempowering.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's why we're looking at a revolution, because that old paradigm's not working anymore.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, and like I can see like that one decision could have messed me up with my thyroid so badly, and my committed stand at the time. Like I think she was using it to kind of, you know, bluff me. Like, oh really? Are you really gonna get a doctor? And I wasn't doing it for any other reason than to be authentic, and to let her know what's working for me.
Yeah.
And also knowing inside my heart that you know, if this is not the right thing for me, I'm willing to let this go and let you go, and trust that somebody else will show up. And lo and behold, it did. And it was just a testament.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, and it's a testament to every other area of our life, right? Like when something feels off, whether it's a partner, a doctor, whomever, right? If it feels cooked, as I call it, or you know, like really done, then it's done. Why are we trying to pretend it's something that it's not and just hurt ourselves further, right? It really doesn't work.
Absolutely. So, before you tell us about who did come along, are you familiar with Kelly Turner and her book called Radical Remission? So
I've heard of the name, but I don't know. But I don't know the lady.
Yeah. So she's American. She's written a book called Radical Remission on this kind of the summary of her interviews with 1,000 patients who had cancer, but they had a spontaneous remission from cancer. And she's distilled that down to 9 key factors. So 9 things that they all did or had in common. And one of them was trusting their intuition with whatever treatment they sought, with whatever they did, to trust their own intuition and feel empowered in their choices. And even if it was a doctor of functional medicine or an integrative doctor or a traditional Chinese doctor, if it didn't feel right, then don't do it. So there's good evidence to show that that's so important. So who came along for you? Who showed up?
It's actually really hilarious because I kind of at that point felt like this doctor was kind of being like, you know, the dark energy at this point, right? And kind of, you know, holding this authority, which is not what I need, right? I'm in a vulnerable position where I don't need you kind of clouting your credentials and kind of how you deal with things. And then the minute I was willing to let that go, in came this bright light, and like, what an antithesis to the space. Like, you know, it was just, she was this beacon of energy. She was South African, and like, she could just completely get where I was coming from, was totally happy with my requests, was, you know, it was just like night and day. It was like, you know, this is what you're willing to drop, and I could feel it in my body, and that's why I just had to trust it, even though I'm like, okay, yes, it is a pain to kind of have to let her go now at this point when I'm feeling so crappy, and I would like her to actually, you know, have stepped into the space in a different way, but she wasn't. So I'm like, I don't have the energy, and I don't have the space for her, you know, to deal with this, and I know intuitively there's somebody else that's going to hold the space, and lo and behold, it did, you know, and it was great, and it was fantastic, and, you know, I didn't need to, I just needed to continue to trust what I felt was right.
And so was the approach then a combination of different things? So looking at, you know, diet, supplements, and tell us about the approach.
So I think what I liked, what was the complete shift, was that the lady on the right, and let's call her the light versus the dark doctor, whichever you want to call it, just because it's a fun analogy, is that, you know, the whole difference inside of that was she was empowering me to listen to what I was doing and to do it more. Wow. I mean, that was just like, I was just blown away. She was just like, well, look at how far you've come, and look at everything you've done, and how it's taken me to, you know, taking it to me. So am I going to tell you to do anything different? No. In fact, I'm going to tell you to do more of it. So she just like expanded the whole thing to a whole different level. And so she said, whatever you feel to do, in whichever way you feel to do it, just keep doing it, and I will support you as your doctor inside of it, and whatever you need from me, I will give it to you. And that felt so empowering, because that's what I needed her to do. I needed her to be my supporter, not my hindrance.
Yes, and work as a team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she just gave me tons of space and tons of room to maneuver. And what I got was, she wasn't even attached to me being there with her.
She wasn't?
You know? No. And that's also what makes, you know, what I call a unique light, and you know, whether you're a doctor or whomever, is you're not going to see someone, and I believe this in all facets, that you're going to see them for the time or the period or whatever that you need them, but you're not attached to them staying with you forever, and, you know, needing to be dependent on them if it doesn't, if it's already served its course.
And so it sounds like there was no ego involved.
None. Exactly. Not at all. Like, it was exactly, it was, that wasn't, she didn't even have, she didn't have any of that in the space at all. Yeah. True.
So how important is it then that people learn to listen to their intuition and to listen to that inner guidance?
It's everything. It's absolutely everything. Tick, tick, I would say. Tick, tick. You know, like, you can't, like, I've written articles on this, Alison, but it's like really like, because this whole area, I mean, this is a topic I love deeply, but, you know, I just don't see how you can leave home without it.
But so many people do, don't they?
Well, but
they leave home.
They're not conscious, because they're not conscious of it. You know, like, okay, when you're going home, you're going out and you're thinking, oh, here's my keys, here's my mobile, here's the thing. I do the complete reverse. I'm kind of like, just have a moment of like, you know, and it's not conscious anymore, because I just know it comes with me now. So it's fine. But in the beginning, it was really like, okay, you know, my intuition rolls with me. Are you with me? Oh, yeah, great. We're together. Okay, great. And whatever else comes, you know, comes, right? Because that's what's, you know, when you're out and about in life, and especially the way life looks right now, you don't know what's coming out of you, you know, beyond your four walls.
Yeah.
you know, and your car keys may not help you, but your intuition sure as hell will.
Absolutely.
You'll be like, oh, okay, how do I respond to this inside of the moment that feels right to me, right? So for me, it's like, it's the go-to place to start and continue.
I heard a beautiful story. I read a beautiful story. Lael Stone she teaches parenting along with all sorts of other things, and she's very big on just holding space for your children to feel whatever they're feeling and share whatever they're feeling. And her young daughter was waiting for a bus to get home after school, and she started to get on the bus and she thought, this doesn't feel right. She got off and she waited for the next bus while all of her friends said, you're nuts, you know, come on this bus. The next one's going to be 5 minutes. Anyway, she got off the bus. She waited for the next one. While she was on the second bus, her friend messaged her and said, we've just had an accident. Friend from the first bus. So, don't leave home without it.
Yeah, no, seriously, really. I believed it. Oh, God. And it is supported me in some, you know, exactly. It's in all of this, in this world and time we live in, you know, it could be keeping you avoiding getting on a flight that something could happen with, or something, you know, happening that's beyond us, right? And we just have to be listening to those inclinations, right? It's too important. And having people around us understand, no, this is not woo-woo stuff. This is like really supporting to have us working right now, or have the whole situation taken care of. So it's a level, for me, I call it's a different level of taking care, and taking care of yourself, your life, what's happening around. We have to be super mindful of it.
Absolutely. And you never know where this conversation's going to take us, because we didn't intend to talk about all that, did we?
Exactly. Yet it seems to be it seems to be of importance to share, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with you about that.
So going through that health issue and finding this beautiful light worker doctor, how did you then get into doing the kind of work you're doing now? Or were you doing that already?
So I was doing that work. I was doing the work already, and I think the biggest takeaway that came from that particular chapter of my life was that I made it a commitment when I'd healed it inside of spiritually handling it, that I was going to support others to heal spiritually. Yeah. And that was my way of giving back, because I had been given this opportunity to heal it in such a way. And I thought, oh my God, you know, there's so many people out there who are having all sorts of physical challenges that are really hard to be with, you know, like really bad, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, autoimmune conditions of all sorts of weird morphs and types. And I believe it's going to get harder until people kind of crack the code on realizing that it's going to need another way to heal it, not the traditional route. Yeah, that
there's that invisible aspect of us that we have to take into account.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the part that kind of opened up that piece there, that kind of then, you know, came into my spaces like, okay, that's really important to be of service and support people inside of that part for me, because it's something that I'd personally gone through and experienced and wanted to, you know, be of contribution and give back to. So that was that part in essence, you know, at that time. But as I say to you, every journey kind of has you upskilling and dealing with another part as you go on, you know.
Yeah. And so initially helping people with those health issues, and your work's evolved since then. So can you tell us about that? What you're kind of more leaning towards now?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, I think so I think the healing will always be there, and that's important to me. And I think the thing that's kind of added, or I guess you could say elevated, is that part of this part of the space is a deepening of awakening. So what I call it is that was the initial awakening. And then
many people call those health issues a wake-up call, don't they?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
I mean, to not call it that kind of robs it of what it was. So it doesn't work to call it anything else. So that was like the initial start, ripening awakening, starting bubble over. And then I guess for some people that can be the soul awakening, right? And it is for some, because that's a pretty big space anyway. But in my case, it kind of took that space, as a seed of awakening. And obviously our soul guides a much bigger awakening, and only our soul knows what's coming next. And so then from that, where it was opening me up, which I didn't know, was that it was then bringing me to an awakening in terms of breaking open my heart at new levels.
Yes.
And the awakening then came through grief and through loss, because again, it's not something that you can understand, I feel, until you walk this path. Okay. Because the way it manifested was that unexpectedly my husband died. And then the part about then sort of allowing that process to happen was a breaking opening of me in all sorts of other ways, in all sorts of directions and spaces of time, I would say. And yet really ripening and broadening out this awakening even further, and I would say allowing me to embrace all parts of me. Maybe I'd already thought I'd embraced so many different parts of me, but I think it was kind of the last leg of, anything else that was dark, not kind of taken in shape or dealt with, or allowing me to access other darker parts, because, it's something that you need to get whole and complete with, I feel. And the level of which you're able to penetrate from that is just huge. Because
it can't go much deeper than that, can it?
No, I don't think so. I mean I can only speak from my own experience, but I think it's really, grief is a testament, and I don't think we talk about that a lot, is that grief is also a testament to how much we love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we grieve as powerfully as we loved.
Yes, they're totally in synchronicity with one another. And the other thing is then, what does that birthing of love make available, right? In service, in light, in contribution. And so, I think my level of contribution and service, was already very high, but I think it's kind of just taken it to kind of an, like real epic levels.
Yeah.
And so now I'm really supporting people to awaken and provide hope and light inside of loss, inside of grief, inside of transition, inside of a new shift in terms of their career or how they view themselves, right? So there's an element of the loss, but the focus for me is on the awakening part and the light, and that the light serves in bringing that process out, that's what's available on the other side of it.
It makes me think of, I think it's the Leonard Cohen song, where the cracks are where the light comes through, shines through.
Yes,
absolutely. But then not everyone who is heartbroken in that way moves to that next level.
I know.
Often people will stay.
I know. It's funny you said that.
Yeah.
I know you said that because that came up today. It's funny you mentioned that with someone else I was on a call with today. But I think that's why like this is so important for me, because the point is that I think people don't have an anchor or don't have a guidance or don't have that as a possibility. So they don't even know they can lean into that. For me,
Yes.
I think that what's so important is I share it from a place of honoring it as part of my journey.
Yes.
And it is not something that I wish to only be defined by. That's the thing that's so critical inside of this, right? It's a part of me, but it's not who I am. It's not the only thing that I am, right? I'm so many things. And the thing is that I think it's really important for people to know, and especially at this time, because no other time in history have we seen more grief and more loss and more, you know, people losing any kind of loved one inside us, or maybe more than one loved one at one time.
Yeah, and loss of so many other things, you know, loss of jobs, loss of freedom, loss of finances, loss of the ability to hug your grandchildren.
Right, correct. Exactly. Isolation.
Yeah.
Disconnection.
Yeah. So I did want to ask you about your view of the world and kind of the stage where we're at currently, in terms of what you see how you see the future unfolding, and if you see this, as I've kind of talked about, as part of a huge shift in our consciousness, and hopefully moving into an age of more enlightenment.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do definitely think we are moving into a space of enlightenment of epic proportions. And also that's why it's coming so quick and fast, as I call it, okay? And inside of it happening quick and fast, it means that old structures are falling away and falling apart. And so it looks both chaotic, okay? And I have to acknowledge that, because there's some people who are not wanting to look at and see that it's chaotic. But I don't think that that's very real, and I don't think that that's very authentic, because the thing is also, you know, there's a type of dance. Actually, I haven't talked to you about that before, but anyway, there's a type of dance I love to do. And inside of it, it's, you know, we title each part of the dance like a wave. Okay, literally a wave, like the ocean, okay? And inside of the dance, there's actually a specific dance wave called chaos. And you actually dance your chaos, right?
Because it's a part of change.
Right, exactly, exactly. So the whole thing is, like, you know, instead of fighting it, you know, what's beautiful about chaos is that it's where we go into the space of like letting ourselves go, and we step into the unknown, and we just totally dissolve our mind. Right. Yeah. And the rhythm that comes with chaos when we actually play it, it's quite a rhythmic, and it's quite a fast paced letting go drumming type of space. And it, you know, it's letting go and moving into the space and allowing, you know, the birthing, right? So birthing takes place in chaos, right? Nobody again talks about this, which I think is interesting, because, you know, birthing is messy, you know, birthing is not something that's just, you know, look straightforward, or even if people plan a birthing plan, it doesn't always go according to the plan.
You have to be prepared to surrender to the process.
Yes, right, exactly, right? And so the thing is that I think part of the problem is if you're fighting up against it, you know, you don't want it to be chaotic because of your so-called perception of control. And I also believe that we're moving into an era where, you know, people are going to realize that, you know, control is an illusion anyway. Okay. So that's another layer. That
especially control with that small part of our mind, that rational, logical part.
Yeah, absolutely. So but inside of embracing the chaos, inside of embracing the change, then there will become, and is starting to create rebirthing, right? So birth is possible inside of the chaos, right? It's not all endings. Yes, there are endings, and I will acknowledge there are endings too. And we're very much in the in-between. You know, we're seeing things die, and we're seeing things start to come through and be planted as regeneration. But we're feeling both. And the thing is, we're not meant to be attached to whichever space we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I see it a lot with different people, you know, wanting to say, okay, Pascale, you know, like, so when's it all going to start, and when's it all beginning? And I find it, you know, it's just comical in a really divine, sweet way, because the point is, like, you know, ask most people right now, and they will tell you in any given day at the moment, they will feel a multitude of emotions and feelings. They won't feel one emotion only. Okay. And that's just the state of reflecting us and our consciousness and our universe. We're feeling multiple things at multiple times. And hence we're going to be feeling at different points about different things, that things are ending and some things are beginning. And it's like, we can't be attached to, okay, is it one or the other? Because the more we attach to it, the less exactly. The less it's going to move through us.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's, who might have said it in the first place, but I love the idea that evolution happens in that, along the border of chaos and order.
Yeah.
So that's where we evolve and expand.
And I think it's about trusting that there's a new order that will come and will form. But we're so scared. We're so scared of, like, oh my goodness, but if there's no rules, what do we do?
Yeah, and that new order ideally comes from our wiser selves, our intuition.
Yes.
And we're guided along the way.
And I kind of like the fact that we can actually look at something that feels like it was so tangible and so in place and so fixed, that if those rules and playbooks didn't work, like around key issues that are happening around the world, like look at what's happening about this systemic racism, for God's sake. You know, I'm so not impressed about, you know, the systemic racism and the playbook that, you know, has been set up clearly inside of policing in America. It just it doesn't work. Yeah.
And we had to have that huge crack of George Floyd being killed and seeing it so publicly for the light to start to shine through of, this is not okay.
Yes, exactly.
We're not going to put up with this anymore. This has got to change.
Yeah, exactly right. Absolutely correct.
Oh, so I feel like, it's that mixture of positive and negative, that really makes sense to me, that I can't just feel one way about what's happening at the moment. There's just so many things in the mix. But I do believe it's all part of the plan to shift us to that more enlightened state, and a world that's based on humanity, not just profit.
Yes, correct. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I'm holding the vision for.
Yeah, I love it. I'm on board with that. Totally on board with that. I agree.
So, Pascale, when you work with people, I know you were living in Hong Kong when I met you, and you're now in England, and moving into summer. So it's almost summer there for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is actually.
I'm sitting here with my blankie on my knee in the middle of Melbourne winter.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Yes.
And so when you were here in Melbourne, you saw people face to face, but now doing Zoom. Well, you've always done Zoom sessions or Skype or whatever works, WhatsApp for people. Yeah. Do you want to just tell people a little bit about what, if they were to have a session with you, what to expect?
So, I mean, I think it's different for different people, but I mean, I think the thing is that you know, you'll know if you feel connected to what I'm going to offer, because I think even with the people I've been working virtually with in Melbourne, they've all said to me that, you know, on some level they felt it already. It was time to, it was, something was calling, something was beckoning, whether it's my picture or the words that have been articulated, you know, feeling like they want to harmonize themselves, or that they were ready for the shift in healing for this earth called to them, that the way that I'm approaching it in terms of bringing the message to this new earth is what calls to people. So I think that delicate balance of, you know, I'm not just offering something, I'm offering something that's, you know, a deep transmission for what's being supported on this earth right now. And what I love about the people in Melbourne and in Australia is you guys are really sensitive to that, you know, and you're not prepared to dilly-dally about it. And I have deep respect for that, because I'm not the dilly-dallyer either, right?
And I know we were talking about the fact that one of your specialties, I guess, is that you are a fantastic practitioner for the practitioners. So I've got quite a community of people who are already working as light workers. And I've seen you take people just, breaking through to that whole new level. Really anyone, but those people who are particularly attuned to their own intuition, and they know, they follow their guidance, and they say that I don't know why, but I just need a session with Pascale.
Yeah, there's definitely that aspect and calling as well to serve the people. The you know, what I call like the practitioners who've been boxed in, who haven't had those pieces put together in a way that feels right for them to be able to really move to their highest. That's also a very important element of something I'm here to serve. But I would also say that, you know, exactly, that people both, I'm supporting and working with both men and women. I think that's important to say, because also we're at a critical time point now where we're really needing to support, you know, the masculine feminine energy. So, you know, and really harmonize that in whichever way that is. So it could be, for example, I was working with, you know, someone who, you know, the person has only reached a certain level of success in their business, but actually the way they need to access their business is by taking more of a feminine approach to their business. Now that's a huge aha to get, because, you know, normally they would have thought, oh, okay, I just need to strive harder, you know, do a lot of things that, you know, have me kind of chunk up. But actually the insight was something completely different. And it was something far more feminine to anchor into their space that kind of has them be able to step forward into their business newly. So I love working with men and women, people supporting people to support their, like I said, regenerational retransmission of their path, their purpose, their mission for being here, working with people to support their businesses at this critical time, because there might
a lot of people are really struggling.
Yes, and so exactly, and so I similarly helped work with you to support your business and really re-engineer and rethink through it. I think that's an important area of people that I want to also reach out to and support to kind of rethink what works, what doesn't, and kind of bring it up to that higher level. Especially at this time, because it's the right time to do that, to kind of really look at how can I shift my focus and my direction. And
go with the flow of the chaos until we find some order in it. The other thing we've talked about, we're kind of promoting current sessions as upgrading those healing and light codes. And the way I explained it to someone recently is that the Earth's shifting her energy, and so, you know, the energy, the vibration, the frequency of the Earth is upgrading. And so we need to work on ourselves energetically to match that frequency so that we don't stay in the chaos too long.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing is that it's very vital to do this because, you know, we need upgrading inside of us with these healing and harmonizing and light codes. Both as this is the way that we can provide new immunity, soul immunity to ourselves. So it's a direct correlation with our health and what's going on around coronavirus. Okay. So enabling the people to be, you know, maximally protected with the upgrades that we need in our health that's so needed right now. So that's one area where it's so vital. But then, of course, it's also going to be the new light codes and healing codes that people need exactly for their business, for their healing, for their relationships, you know, for attracting real love into their life, for healing loss, you know, for the grief they're experiencing, so they can bring that into the light and see where is this contribution going to go for them, right? This is so important at this time, because the thing about grief that I think I really want to say is that, and how it connects to the new earth, is that when we're connected to the old paradigm, it has us experiencing separation. And, you know, you're now alone, and, you know, you're separated from your partner, or you have the feeling of being separated from your partner. And yet this new earth has you reconnect on and recalibrate with that in a whole different way to actually really come together and unify and bring unity to a space where normally you typically only feel separate. And connected to your angels and your guides, and they're above you, and who's channeling with you, and who's around you, and to be able to experience unity at a time when you feel so separate is almost like a miracle in and of itself.
Yes, although there's the paradox of having to be physically isolated, and so many people coming together and protesting about, so that we do come together, not just as a country, but as a whole world, and to clear those things that have been dividing us, like racism and elitism.
Yes, exactly. So you know, I want people to join in solidarity, experience the embodiment of unity when we have an experience on earth that makes us feel separate. That's that's a whole game-changing paradigm right there, you know, and for other people to experience that unity and that peace, because that's the other thing. If you're experiencing unity, then you're experiencing peace. And the whole thing about grief is it's not very peaceful. It's also very messy. It's very brokenhearting, and you feel lots of different other emotions, right? But if you can get to a point where it brings enough light into your space to see another possibility, then it can be a shifted conversation from the dark into the light in whichever way that feels right to you, and whatever that loss is for you, right? Because also people are grieving all sorts of different types of grief as well. There's not the physical grief. There's also the grief of, you know, their situations changing, or their job altering, or thinking
their
about
holidays were cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or that they don't know when they might have a real holiday again, for example. You know, so you know, there's lots of different types of things that on some level people are experiencing some form of loss or grief, whether they're present to it or not really. And how do you navigate that, you know? So you need to be guided through that space and supported and like you said, elevated. And you really need somebody. It's not something you can just do on your own. I wouldn't advise that. I wouldn't.
And it's not just transcending, is it? It's actually using everything that you've experienced incorporating and integrating all of that rather than just lifting it up above it.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does make sense. You're
Yeah.
right. Yes, it does. Yes. Because we
Mm.
have to be respectful of all that we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Good, bad and the ugly, warts and all.
Mm-hmm.
It's all come to us for a reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. It was a real joy talking to you, Pascale. And
Yes.
people can find out a little bit more about you from our website. And I know your website's having a bit of an overhaul at the moment. But do you want to just tell people what your website is?
Yeah,
Your
at the
web
moment,
address?
well, at the moment, the web address is, and even that's in redefinition. So I think it would be better for people to go and check me out at you.
So when they find you on mine, I'll put your new web address on the bottom of your page. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. So, and people can book through that as well. So I know you're offering sessions for people, well, anywhere in the world really. But you've done a number for our customers and clients recently. And had great feedback from that.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been just the same really as when I was there. I'm just doing it virtually. And I think the thing I would say to people, I think sometimes people, the only thing maybe that might be in people's spaces is, does it have the same level of impact on a virtual session versus an in-person session? And what I would say is, no, it doesn't. Like, as in, there's no barrier to anything getting in the way because of the way that I generate it in such a way.
So you're saying no, it doesn't have the same impact?
No, I'm saying it doesn't have any barrier. It
no
doesn't have any barrier.
Yeah.
No barrier.
You can work just as powerfully online as face-to-face.
Work just as powerfully online because of the fact that for me there's no barrier with the person, whether we're in person or we're online. That level of intimacy is such the same. And because I've been working with people in this manner already for a period, for quite a period of time, there's no wall there. There's no barrier. So it works just as seamlessly and just as effortlessly and equally as powerfully. So I would encourage you, if you're on the fence and just thinking, oh, okay, I'll wait till, maybe this person is here in person. What I would say to you is, don't wait for that, because you could be A, waiting for a long time because we don't know when that's going to come back. And B, if the yearning is there, then don't hold back. Because there's nothing to stop you, and you will still get the same results.
Yeah, absolutely. So, such a joy talking to you, and we will chat again at some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Love this. Thanks, Alison.
Great. My pleasure. And we'll talk again soon.
Okay, great.
Thanks so much. Yeah, take care.